Hi guys, so I'm pretty excited today because I've got another Project 10 wears. It's literally been 5 months since I've done one, but I thought I'd get my act together and actually do another one, especially because I started filming this back in March, but I just kind of forgot about the footage I had and thought I would just continue it on because, you know, I was really near the end of it anyway. And I thought I'd use the MAC and Jeremy Scott palette, which is a limited edition palette that came out earlier this year, but it feels like it's been like 1 year since it's come out or more, because I feel like there's so many makeup releases coming out all the time that it's really easy to forget about limited edition releases, especially from MAC, because they come out all the time. So this is what it looks like if you haven't seen it. It is a colorful palette, rainbow palette. I thought it'd be a good one to do because I feel like even if you don't have this, most people or a lot of people do have these shades because they're not original, it's just a rainbow palette. So I do actually personally love that it's got this, the way it's laid out, where you've got different color families in there. And I really like that. It's been a long time since I played with MAC eyeshadows. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into when I started doing this, but I will tell you my thoughts right at the end of this video. So if you want to hear them, then just keep watching. If you want to see the looks I've created, just keep watching. I also did want to mention in this video that going forward, I will no longer be doing any more 10 looks one palettes per se. I'm just going to be doing multiple looks one palette for a number of reasons. One, sometimes I feel like I force myself to do 10 looks when I don't really feel like a palette can be pushed in more than 10 ways, but also because I sometimes feel like this is very limiting. And 10 honestly is just a really arbitrary number. There are heaps of people that do 5 looks per palette, you know, 3 looks, 8 looks. I've seen other people do 10 looks as well here on YouTube. So I don't want to limit myself to saying, yes, I'm gonna be doing 10 every time. It might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 12, it might be 20. Unlikely that it's gonna be 20, but I didn't wanna, you know, limit myself to that. So going forward, it's not gonna be 10 looks one palette, it's just gonna be multiple looks one palette. So I did want to let you guys know that. I'm also gonna link a few other people that do multiple looks one palette series that I enjoy. Anyway, without further rambling, if you want to see the looks I've created, please keep watching. So this is today's look. I didn't want to do anything too over the top or elaborate because I'm just running some errands today and I just wanted to keep it really simple. So I've mostly used earthy kind of tones. So I've basically used this shade all over my mobile lid. I kept it pretty close to my lash line. And then on top of that, I've used this taupe shade into the crease because I did watch Alyssa Ashley's demo using this palette, and I think she used these 2 shades as well, and I noticed that when you put this on top of the orange shade, it can muddy out, and I do find that it does mute it a little bit, and I wanted the orange to peek through, so I just kind of made sure that these 2 weren't touching too much. I've also added some of the pink above the orange, and you can't really see it very much, so I don't think, from what I've used so far, that these layer that well. So I've also taken this shade on the inner corner as well because I quite like this shade. It's kind of like a peachy pink shade. And then I've also used this other shade as a brow bone highlight. I've used this other shade, which is more of a satin cool brown on the lower lash line, as well as kind of really close to my upper lash line as well, just to line it a little bit, as well as a little bit on the outer V. So yeah, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate, just wanted to do an easy look today. I'll give you a few swatches. This is the taupe shade that I used. This is the orange that I used. I really like this orange. It does show up really nicely on the lid. This is the pink shade. This is the shade for my brow bone highlight. I actually never highlight my brow bone. The sheen isn't overly strong. It's, again, more of a satin type sheen, so it's quite subtle, which I like. And then this is the shade that I used to define my eyes a bit more. I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit more to gauge how I feel about this palette. But so far, I'm not hating it or anything. And on my lips, I'm using this matte lipstick from Revlon, which is super old, but I really love it. This is Cocoa Craving. An oldie, but a goodie. So this is the makeup that I wore today. I've worn this for probably around 10 hours. The makeup is looking a little bit faded. Like I said, especially around the edges and a bit of creasing. I do have oily eyelids, and this does tend to happen with a lot of eyeshadows, so that's no surprise there. But I just chucked on a little bit of lipstick. I've got Pillow Talk from Colourpop on my lips, and on top of that I've added the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb, which my mum got for me during her travels. So this is the gloss. I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen this already because everyone seems to rave about this product. I like it, I do. I think it's a really, really nice lip gloss, a very beautiful color, but I hate the smell. It's really strong. Hopefully I can get over that because besides that, I really like this product. Basically, I used these three shades, the green, the burgundy, and the matte black, because I have heard that this green is not that great, which when concentrated on a small shader brush, it does go on pretty nicely. I guess the issue is blending. However, I didn't really do much blending because I really just packed it on. And then on the center, I've got this burgundy shade, which is gorgeous. And then the matte black on the outer edge, and then into a wing, which it's not the best matte black, but it's not the worst. So I think it turned out okay. I mean, I feel like these shadows performed like an average eyeshadow. It was not particularly difficult to use. It wasn't the most easy when applied with a shader brush. They don't go on patchy, they go on pretty nicely. It's a pretty grungy look. I didn't do anything special today, but I decided to do something similar to one of my previous videos, but using different shades, and this is how it turned out. So this is today's makeup. I decided to try out the gold, just kept it really simple. That's the only shade that's on my upper eyelid. The gold is nothing really spectacular. It's a pretty, I feel like it's a pretty subtle shimmer. So the pinks I've used on my lower lash line are these two here. They're fairly nice pinks. They go on nicely. They can build up really nicely as well. And they blend okay. I wanted to add a little bit of color, but not take too much away from the gold. This is the light pink here. So I've used that as a sort of, I've used this shade, this light pink, on the inner and outer portion, kind of as a halo eye, sort of where the pop of color is on the center. And I think it looks really nice with the gold. It doesn't look too over the top. But I decided to add some lashes because I have a drawer full of lashes and I realized I just never wear lashes. So I just, Joey's asleep right now and I had a bit of extra time, so I decided to add some on just so it looks a little bit more glammed up. And on my lips I'm wearing Ofra Miami Fever. It's one of my favorite colors. I really like this kind of burnt orange shade. I like the Ofra liquid lipsticks. I think they're pretty comfortable. However, I find that they do dry out pretty quickly. So I do every now and again have to add some Inglot Duraline just to revive it a bit. And I have done that quite a few times for this one, although it is probably around 2 years old. So it is getting a little bit old and I do want to try and finish it up. So I've got a bit of a different setup today because I'm about to film with my sister, and I thought I would quickly show you what I've done on my face today. I know it's kind of crazy. It honestly, this whole look reminds me of kids' makeup, but I wanted to try some different colors, and I also wanted to try this Sugar Pill liquid lipstick in Euphoria, which I bought with a, I had a gift voucher on Beautylish and I decided to pick this up. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have picked it up because I am not the biggest fan of Sugar Pill liquid lipsticks. They have a very strong scent. I don't know, they're just not my favorite. But I do love this color, and it also kind of matches my hair, which is why I wanted it, so I got it. And then for my eyes, I have decided to use the purples in this palette. I have basically used the last column, which are these purples. I've used this in my crease, this in the outer V, as well as this on the lower lash line, mixed with some of the black to deepen the liner. I feel like there isn't that much difference between these two shades. They come off very similar in look. On the lid, they look virtually the same. And this is the purple, which is kind of like a pastel purple. They don't swatch that well, but they do apply quite nicely on the lid. I didn't have any troubles building up or anything like that. And then I've just thrown on some Stila glitter and Glow in Smoldering Satin because I thought I'd be, I don't know, a little bit extra. But now it kind of looks like kids makeup. So I don't know, I don't know about this look. Probably wouldn't go out like this, but you know what, I'm not gonna take my makeup off because it's just too much effort. So this is the look that I'm doing today. Not my favorite, but it's done. So today I've decided to do a dramatic lower lash line and use this gorgeous blue shade here because I just felt like doing something a little bit more dramatic on the lower lash line, which is my favorite, one of my favorite ways to incorporate color into a look. And then I've also used this kind of peach shade on my lid as a wash of color, just so that the contrast remains really strong on the lower lash line. It literally took me, I don't know, 2 minutes to do this look because of how simple it is. Doesn't swatch great, but goes on really easily and nicely pigmented when I use a brush. So I have really enjoyed this color. And then the peach matte shade did go on a bit sheer. On my coloring, it doesn't show up that well. I think if you have lighter skin, it probably would show up a bit better. But for me, I did have to build it up a little bit so that you could actually see the color. My lips have been quite dry recently, so I've decided to just add some lip gloss. This is the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. I'm using it again because I want something quite simple. I'm not doing anything special today, but yeah, just it's a lip gloss kind of day. So this is today's look. I opted for something a little bit more pared back for me because I'm just going to a playgroup today. Also, I bought this really cute headband from Etsy. I'm gonna leave the link in the description bar below. I like to wear headbands with my hair. I'm just having a really bad hair day because I feel like it looks better. But anyway, onto what I'm wearing on my eyes. I've got this silver on the center of my eyelid. I've used this taupey gray shade as in transition. The shimmers are very powdery, by the way. I've also used this other shade on the lower lash line. Okay, I just went over the other swatch. Super powdery, like I would actually suggest putting these shimmer shades on a sticky base because otherwise it gets in your eye, which happened to me. I also did use a little bit of this taupe shade next to the silver, just to tone it down a bit more because I didn't want a super silvery eyelid. And then I've also used this eggplant kind of purple shade, blackened purple shade on the lower lash line as well as to deepen the outer V. I don't think this palette sucks by any means. I know I've got a really bad rating, but I have enjoyed all the looks I've created out of it. It's definitely not the best shimmer formula, it's not the best matte formula, but you can create lots of beautiful looks, and I don't think it really takes that much effort to actually get it to how it is now. And then on the inner corners, I'm also using this Celestial Saphir Eye Soot in Ara. This creases on me, so I'm still playing around with this to try and find ways to use this that works for my eyelids. And I'm also using this new Fix Plus Gold Light, which I have used to kind of finish my face. This has very, very fine shimmer particles in it. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm still gonna have to play with it around a bit more, but look at this. It just looks so pretty in the bottle. Like a glittery cloud storm or something. And then on my lips, I'm just wearing this MECCA COSMETICA lip balm thing, lip tint. I actually often use this as a overnight lip mask because it really, really hydrates my lips really well. It's probably one of my favorite lip balms. I can feel that it's been absorbing into my lips and really keeping them hydrated. And when I wake up, my lips are just in a really good condition because I do wear liquid lipsticks very often, and this is really good. The only thing is it is quite pricey, and I have seen it gone on sale, so I think it's worth getting it when it's on sale. I would probably repurchase this one still because I haven't really found a better alternative. This is the face. Hope you like it. Let me know what you think. Whoops. So this is today's makeup, and I've pretty much kind of gone for shades that I've used quite a bit from this palette, but they're the shades that I kind of gravitate towards. I've used this peach shade in the crease. It has muddied up a little bit once I've added in other shades. I did add in some of this burgundy shade in the outer V as well as the black just to darken up a little bit. And then I'll swatch them for you. I've also added the gold on the center of my eyelid, and this time I actually used my finger because I don't want a whole heap of gold pigment go into my eye. And then I've also used this shade as a brow bone highlight because I'm just trying to use up all the shades. And also the burgundy shade on the lower lash line, and I do quite like how it's turned out. It's kind of a halo eye because I have added the deep colors on the outer and inner and outer portion of my eyelid, and then the same on the bottom lash line. This is probably the last time that you're gonna see me with this backdrop potentially because I am moving, which is pretty exciting, but also means that I've got heaps of stuff to pack up. So I'm just gonna quickly film this and then pack some more. So it has been an insane amount of time between the last wear and this wear, but I was looking at my backlog of footage that I haven't edited, and I think I had done 7 looks, and I thought, you know what, I might as well just keep chugging along and try and actually get to 10 wears with this palette. because it's been a while since I've played with this, and I recently thrifted this top and I thought I could do a look inspired by this top because I really like it. It's a Pleats Please and Opening Ceremony collaboration, and I think it's just a really fun top. Now, I don't usually wear patterns, but I like it. So I did start with this shade on the center of my eyelid, and then I went in with a mixture of this blue and this light shade, and I just kind of blended my brush in between those shades and added that on the outer edge and kind of blended it into my crease. Then I used a mixture of this brown, which has a little bit of a shimmer, this kind of green shade, and this forest deep green shade, and I mixed that together and put that to deepen the outer V, which I think it turned out really nice. It kind of looks like a blackened green, and I also added that combination on my little lash line as well, and blended out really nicely. From memory, the other time I used it, it didn't work super well, but I think mixed with these two shades, maybe it helped blend out a little bit better. On the inner corner of my eyelid, I added that orange, and then just kind of took more of that blue and just sort of blended those shades kind of into each other, so it looks kind of a bit like a gradient. And also, if you're super observant, you probably noticed that my eyes aren't matching because I have eyelash extensions, because when I was in Japan, I just wanted to do something different. But I think I always come to the conclusion that eyelash extensions are just not for me, especially because when they start coming out, they make your eyelashes look terrible, and I don't think they're necessarily very good for your lashes as well, because I've noticed that my natural lashes coming through look really sparse and thin, which they already were, but they just look even worse. So I've had to add a strip lash here because this one was looking really sparse and really weird, and then this one hasn't lost as many lashes, so hopefully it looks like they're matching enough to kind of go through my day, because I am about to go to work. And then for the lips, I'm using this ECCENTRIC Cosmetics liquid lipstick in Sedona. I love this indie brand. I have only tried their liquid lipsticks, but I really like them. They feel super lightweight. Like, I can't even tell that I'm wearing anything on my lips. And the shades are really pretty. So this is today's look. It's very green and glittery. Not that glittery because I am going to work. It is a Friday. I feel like I can get away with a bit of glitter, but not too much. But I was very much inspired by LS's video where she was talking about new releases and whether or not she's going to buy them. In that video, she was wearing this gorgeous, deep, smoky green eye look with a lot of gold glitter on the center. And I just loved it. And I wanted to recreate it, but just pare it back just a little bit because I'm going to work and I feel like I don't think I could get away with that much glitter, but I am wearing a little bit. Luckily for this palette, well, not luckily, but the shimmers in here are pretty dismal, at least the one I use, which is this gold. I actually tried to pat it on the center of my lid at first with a small detail brush. Nothing really appeared. Then I used my finger. Nothing really appeared. So then I went in with my trusty, gorgeous, glittery gold shade. It's like a champagne gold. This is Collision from the Linda Hallberg Metallic Mysteries palette. Love, love, love this shade. It's probably one of my favorite shimmery eyeshadows of my entire collection. So I use that instead because the shimmer in this palette is not good at all. So I will probably not use that shade ever again. But basically I used this entire column. I started off with this lime green shade all over my mobile lid, and then added a little bit more depth using this slightly darker shade, and added that into my crease, and then patted this one in on the center, and then kind of blended all of it together so it kind of transitions nicely. The more I play with this, the more I quite like it, actually. I actually was wearing my pajamas when I was doing this makeup, and then I thought, ooh, I want to wear this top because, I don't know, just kind of, I like to match my makeup with my clothes, so that's kind of why I decided to choose this top. I really like this color story. I've added the dark green on the lower lash line as well, and yeah, off camera I probably have done a look like this before because I do love green and I love a monotone look. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. And then on my lips, I'm wearing the Pat McGrath Flesh 3 lipstick that I swatched the other day. Looking back at the footage, I think actually this one is my favorite of all the Flesh lipstick shades. So I'm really excited because today's look is the 10th wear. We finally made it after all these months. So yes, it's nothing, you know, too adventurous. I feel like for most of these looks, it's been pretty safe, but today is a work day, so I didn't want to push it too far, but I did want to use some color. I wanted to do something different than the typical eye shape I usually go for, which I've been doing lots of smoky eyes, so today is more of a graphic wing, but it's a little bit more blurred, so it's not too strong and too in your face. So I have used a shade that I haven't used before, and I used this shade. I started with this shade all over the lid. This I thought was a gray. I was using this kind of in the dark, and I didn't actually realize that this has a little bit of a purple reflect to it, so it's like a white with a bit of a purple shift. It's very subtle, but it's quite nice, and it does have a nice sheen to it. So I used that all over the lid. And then of course I used this orange, which is kind of like one of my favorite shades in this palette. I've used this several times for this project tinwares because I like it. I like orange in general. To define my lower lash line, I have added a mixture. I've dipped my brush in both this brown shade and this burgundy shade, and these are also quite nice to work with as well. I think I've used that several times as well to define my lower lash line. I am a creature of habit. I have to try and sometimes push myself not to use the same shades. Like I said, I was trying to do something different, but I don't think it's really that much different to what I usually do. I do think that this combination is quite nice. It's something a bit more unusual than my usual color choices. I don't think I often use this kind of white, you know, lavender shade. And then on my lips, I've got this Suku lip gloss. This is in the shade 01. I love this shade. I actually bought this when I was in Japan. It's just a really nice gloss. I love their glosses. I think I want every single shade. I don't need every single shade, but this is the color. It's a really nice nude. And again, I do struggle to find nudes that suit me because sometimes they can be too pink, too light. This is my kind of nude, so I love this gloss. So those were all the looks I've created with this palette. I feel like when I started using this palette, I didn't really like it that much. And this palette did get a lot of mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people hated it. And I can sort of see why. The pigmentation wasn't particularly fantastic, especially compared to formulas that we see nowadays. And also I did get a few looks that I feel like at the start when I was using this were kind of muddying together. So I had to really be careful with placement, with how I was sweeping my brush over the eyeshadow. But I have to say, the more I've used it, the more I do enjoy it, and I definitely think it's usable, it's workable. The eyeshadows themselves, even though they're not boom pigmentation, they are buildable and they are blendable. And yeah, I do have to say I like the color combos in here. I think the mattes are much better than the shimmer formula. The shimmer formula is like a satin type shimmer, a very subtle shimmer. They are used best with a dense brush, and there is a lot of fallout. So just be careful with getting the eyeshadow in your eyes and just getting fallout on your face. They are quite inconsistent. Some have more than others, some are okay. The look that I did today, for example, didn't have any fallout, so that was good. I have to say I do enjoy this palette. Not that you can get any more. This I bought actually off Selfridges for $75. I do think it's worth the 75 Australian dollars I paid. Then I saw it released on MECCA a few weeks later for 125, if I'm not mistaken, 125 or 145, something ridiculous like that. I wouldn't have paid $100+ for this, but I would have paid 75, which I did, and I'm happy about it. I do like this palette overall. I don't feel like with this palette I particularly pushed myself that much in terms of the variety of looks I created. It wasn't as crazy and fun as the Editorial Brights palette that I did with Alana, which I'll link as well if you want to see that. The good thing about this palette and the fact that there were so many colors to choose from was that I never felt limited. I never felt like, oh, I really want to get another, you know, I want to pull these other colors in. I felt like I had everything I needed. I mean, if this is representative of MAC eyeshadows, I can sort of see why people have branched out to other formulas, because I don't think this is particularly fantastic, especially for a kind of higher end brand. You are paying more, especially in Australia. I think it's like $20 for a single. I do think that my Sydney Grace Co eyeshadows are better. My Divina eyeshadows are better. So I understand why MAC has lost their market share. But I do like this palette, and I would love to see more palettes like this from MAC. I'm getting to the point where I'm rambling now, so I'm gonna finish this up. If you've got any comments or questions, please let me know. I'm not going to do a review on, like a full-on review of this palette because it's no longer available. And I'm not sure of whether or not I will be doing a tutorial on any of these looks. Maybe I will, but let me know your thoughts either way. Also, let me know if you actually got this palette and did you like it, because it's one of those things where when they're limited edition especially, you hear about it for a few weeks and then it's crickets. So I haven't really seen this palette be mentioned very much anymore. Anyway, I have to go to work now, so if you want to see more of my face, please subscribe, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.